On this episode of The Whiskey Tornado, we review our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. It's our most exciting video of the year. It is our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. Let me quickly tell you guys the criteria for our best bourbon of 2021. First, I have to have found it on the shelf. Second, I had to have bought it at MSRP, because what's the point of naming your bourbon of the year if it's an impossible allocated bottle and nobody can find it? So has to be found on the shelf, has to be bought at MSRP. Then it has to rate really highly in our scoring system. And then what we do differently on the Whiskey Tornado is we crowdsource our bourbon of the year. So I'll take samples of my top bourbons throughout the year, send those to our top Patreon members, and then our top Patreon members taste those blind and vote to determine our bourbon of the year. So that vote was already done on a live stream, but there were some bourbons in there that I did not send to our Patreon members. So I just sent them my top 3 of the year, and I threw in our budget bourbon of the year just to throw them off and to see where it lands. So that's what we're going to talk about first. In our top 5 best bourbons of the year, we are going to talk about our budget bourbon of 2021. And that bourbon comes out of Brown-Forman. You can find this regularly on the shelves. It's about a $30 bottle. It is Cooper's Craft. This bottle punches way above its price limit. It's 100 proof, super rich, super viscous. In fact, one of our Patreon members put this ahead of Booker's, ahead of Discovery 3, and it won his bourbon of the year in our blind tasting. So if you've been sleeping on Cooper's Craft, do it no longer. Go out, grab yourself a case of these for only $30. It's a really fantastic bourbon that tastes a lot better than the allocated stuff you guys are hunting. All right, so now that we've got our top budget bourbon of the year out of the way, let's move on to number 5 on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. Comes to us from a little distillery in Indiana called MGP, and that is Remus Repeal 5. When I tasted this, I absolutely loved it. This bottle is about $80, has 16-year bourbon in it, blended with some 13-year and some 15-year bourbon. So super aged, really sweet, fantastic. At 100 proof, almost anybody will enjoy this bourbon. These are becoming harder and harder to find. Remus 4 was in our bourbon of the year last year. And at that time you could find them anywhere, but now the word's out. These are becoming harder and harder to find. But if you do see Remus, any of the Remus Repeal batches, make sure you grab them. Fantastic bottle for $80 and number 5 on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. Coming in at number 4 on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021 is one I almost forgot about. It is Elijah Craig Batch A121. Now, Elijah Craig did not have a great showing this year, partially, I think, because the batches they came out last year were so outstanding. Every batch was a hitter. And this year, Elijah Craig took a lot of crap by people reviewing bourbon on YouTube. I didn't think the batches were quite as bad as a lot of the other reviewers thought. And then recently I went back just this weekend, poured another pour of Elijah Craig A121 and was blown away. It's really a good batch, coming in at 123 proof. I forgot how good it was, honestly, and I went back to watch my review, and I did rate it bunker worthy. That comes in at number 4 on our list of top 5 bourbons for 2021. Number 3 on our list of top 5 best bourbons of 2021 comes from a distillery that is winning me over. I am becoming a major Maker's Mark fanboy, and this release blew me away. It is Maker's Mark limited release FAE02. I thought this was going to fare a little bit better in our blind tasting, but it finished 3rd out of the top 3 that I sent everybody. Comes in at 109.1 proof. but this is a $65-ish bottle that you can actually find when they come out. They're starting to go quicker and quicker, but you can find these when they are released, so it makes it a great bourbon in my opinion, and for $65 you can't go wrong. Maker's Mark FAE02 coming in at number 3 on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. Coming in at number 2 on our top 5 bourbons of 2021. This would have been my pick, or was my pick, when we did the blind tasting. This was my top bourbon, but I got outvoted. So coming in at number 2, runner-up on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021, it is Bardstown Discovery 6. Man, if you haven't had this bottle, you should. Well, I don't even know. You can't really run out and get them. This is more expensive. You know, this is a $130 bottle. So this is the highest priced bottle in this list. But one that I did find on the shelf and I did buy at MSRP. Has some 11-year Kentucky bourbon blended with some 17-year Tennessee bourbon and some 7-year Indiana. Bardstown, just the masters of blending. This one comes in at 111 proof. It is, to me, fall in a glass. I just absolutely love it. And in fact, Bardstown, I think batch 4 won our Bourbon of the Year last year in our blind Patreon tasting. So Bardstown Discovery 6 coming in at number 2 on our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. All right, guys, it is time to announce the Whiskey Tornado's top bourbon of 2021. And I'm kind of excited that this one won. I haven't necessarily been a fan of a lot of the batches that have came up recently, and I'm not always a fan of the price on this one because the same distillery produces some really good juice at half the price, just under a different label. But we entered this gave it to our Patreon members. They tasted it in a blind, and it won hands down. Super excited to announce the Whiskey Tornado's top bourbon of 2025 is Booker's 2021-03 Bardstown batch. You know, I was not a crazy fan about Booker's because you can get Knob Creek for half the price, even more age. You know, Booker's comes in at around that 6 to 7 year age. You can get Knob Creek, 9 year for almost half the price sometimes. And there's more risk reward, I think, with Booker's. Knob Creek, I've rarely had a bad Knob Creek. And Booker's, I've had a lot of batches I wasn't crazy about, but then when a batch hits, it really hits. And I think this Bardstown batch hits. It is full of those, honeyed peanut characteristics that you love in Booker's, but also has some wonderful fruit like strawberry notes threaded through it. Really well rounded, and it won pretty heavily in our Patreon blind tasting. I think that's the beautiful thing about the way we pick our Bourbon of the Year is they're not influenced by the label, they're not influenced by the brand. So it was really cool to put these top 3 in there. And our tasting was Booker's, Bardstown Discovery 3, FAE02, and Cooper's Craft. And Cooper's Craft, you'd think would have placed last by everybody, and it didn't. It actually hung with the big boys, and even beat, it finished first place out of all these for one of our Patreon members. So it's really cool to see that and to see how all these fared in a double blind. They did not know what they were drinking. But ultimately, Booker's Batch 3, Bardstown Batch 1, our 2021 Bourbon of the Year. I know Ed, one of our Patreon members, was going crazy. He was so excited that this won because he's the biggest Booker's fan I know. Actually, both Eds. We have 2 Eds in our Patreon crew, and they're both huge Booker's fans. So they were both excited to see this win, and I am too, actually. I'm really excited. You've got great packaging, great marketing, great bourbon. Just a little high on the price, but that's okay. If it's going to win Bourbon of the Year, I'm happy paying $90 for it. So there you have it, guys. It is our top 5 best bourbons of 2021. I want to take a quick minute and thank our Patreon members who helped us select this year's Bourbon of the Year. I want to thank all our Patreon members for supporting the channel. I can't tell you how much it means that you guys support this channel monetarily. It helps me, upgrade audio equipment, camera equipment, computer equipment, to keep making production value better and better every year. We started the year at 238 subs, and we're about to hit 4,000. So it's been a fantastic year. Special thanks to all our subscribers as well. Really appreciate you guys liking and commenting. The comments have really been growing on these videos, so I try to respond to every one of them because you guys do mean the world to me. I couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you for a wonderful year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and cheers, guys.